um, but due to the COVID-19 situation, we are stuck. But I think Reuters is a really good organization, and they really help me in every situation. So yeah, uh, before COVID, I think uh, while COVID-19 breakdown, um, I was in Jakarta uh, because of
All right. Hopefully, Renita will join us back, but looks like we got kicked off temporarily. So definitely was a very interesting interview, and hoping that we'll get a chance to get her back in the room and see what's going on with the rest of her life and everything. So I'm going to reach out to her, and there we go. There we go. I think we got her back. Yep, got kicked off, but we're back.
what happened.
Oh, I think I hit the wrong button. That was my fault, not yours. But definitely just we were sharing the stories and you were talking about the experience with Reuters and how Reuters had worked and just all of it was going on with that. And you said that at the time you got it, you were actually unemployed. So we're glad to get that job. And then I was also wanting to learn more about your experience there in New York, because was that your first time ever coming to New York or coming to the States? And what other parts of the United States did you visit? And I know when I looked at the pictures, you really seem to have a passion for New York.
Yeah, I really love New York. Actually, in 2019, I was selected for a New York portfolio review, and but I didn't have money. So one of my friend, Isra Sim Soros, he actually, arranged a GoFundMe, and people from all around the world, they, funded for my trip, and then I went to New York first time in March last year, and the whole New York Times experience was really great. I met so many people, great photographers, editors, and after that, my sleep paralysis story got published in New York Times Lens blog, because editors, they really love my work, and they offered me that if I want to publish the story on a New York Times Lens blog, and obviously it was really a great chance for me to publish my story. And after that, I came back, and again, I got a news from Seven Agency that I got a scholarship from them. And for that, again, I went to New York last November. And also, I did my workshop, and after that, I visit many places and meetings. I have many friends in New York. And yeah, it's I love to shoot in New York City. I think for street photography, New York is heaven for me. I don't want to, it's just, I love to shoot in New York. It's different place. You can find different lifestyle of people. Even in Bronx, you can see, kind of really different people and their lifestyle. In Manhattan, early morning, people are really busy, and they're all there going to the office in a black suits, and it's all about black and white. So I love to observe things, and I love to capture the moments in New York. And when it became too much for me, then I go to like Central Park, because it's really peaceful in a way. Yeah, and also last time I went to DC for a meeting. I had some meeting with National Geographic. Um, and after that, I had a meeting with Washington Post. And yeah, recently just they published my story on India, in travel story. So yeah, that's how my experience.
Yeah, and have you got a chance to? Were those the only two states that you got to get to, or did you get to see any of the other places? Like I said, I'm here in Durham, North Carolina, which is a very scenic and very wonderful place in terms of pictures. Not as urban as say New York or DC, but definitely more. We have cities like Durham and Raleigh and Charlotte, but definitely has some more rural kind of environments as well. And of course, there's cities like Virginia, and where my business partner is Dean in New Jersey. So I was just wondering, did you get a chance to travel to any of the other states here, or do you have any wish list places that you want to go to? Because I know a lot of people that like to shoot nature, of course, would love to go down to like around the western part where the Grand Canyons are, and some of those things that are very much very scenic and have a lot of mountain kind of views and things of that nature. So I was wondering if you saw any of those kind of pictures, or if you have any plans to come to any of those kind of places.
I mean, I would love to visit again USA. It's just I don't have really favorite place in my mind, because for me, like I told you, every place has their own essence. And I would love to experience that by my own. I'm not really, kind of tourist kind of person, so I don't like to visit place as a tourist. So I really want to go some place and then explore by my own. So yeah.
Oh, I agree with you on that. I was actually just talking to a friend not that long ago, and we were talking about like a wish list of places to go, and definitely some of the places in India was on my wish list, as well as some of the adjacent countries and around the world. You know, everything from India to the continent of India and different parts of it to places like actually India is the country, Asia is the continent, but places like India and Australia, Belize, and a whole lot of other places around the world that I would like to get to visit. Because, like I said, I was fortunate enough that when I was a young child, I got to go, and when I say young, I mean like a baby to 3 years old, and live in Turkey. My dad was stationed in the Air Force, so I went to Turkey, and then not that long ago, maybe about 2 years ago, I went on a cruise, and the cruise took me to Puerto Rico, the Grand Turks, and places like that. And I think one of those countries may technically be considered. We were in the U.S. Virgin Islands, and Puerto Rico, of course, is a territory. But I think the Grand Turks may technically be considered as being out of the country because it's. I think part of its ownership is British, so I think it might be like a shared ownership and things of that nature. So only been out of this states, meaning the United States, once. So definitely want to get out more than I have been doing. So that's on my wish list. And are there any places that are on your wish list, places that you really want to go to? And then I'd also like to hear about some of your favorite photographers that you admire and that you really have a great deal of respect for.
Oh, no. I think I'd love to. Sometime would love to go Mount Everest base camp because it's the highest peak. So yeah, that's the thing. But I don't have really favorite place or favorite photographer in my list. But yeah, I respect some photographers because not only their photography, mostly because they are really great human being. That's why I really respect them. Like Maggie Stever, I love Maggie Stever because she is a really great photographer, but she is doing she always give the opportunity to young people. So that's really rare in who are really famous photographers. So she said to me that she wants fresh water in a pond, so that it's really great, and she's really good human being. And there are also other photographers like Andrea Bruce. She also helped me a lot. And Evgenia. I can't actually pronounce her name. Her name is really tough. Sorry, but she's doing a really great work. But the photographers I really respect is mostly because of what kind of human being they are, not because of their photography. So for me, it's important that you have to have a certain respect towards other human being. And I can see so many photographers in our field, they are really aggressive and they don't respect the situation and the subject, and not even other photographers. So they can be a great photographer, but I will never follow their work, or I will never, I can't respect them. So for me, it's really important to be a good human being first, then a photographer. So yeah. But
Yeah,
for me, I really inspired by paintings, poems, things like that. Not from, I don't watch too much photography from others because I think I can be influenced by others' work. So uh, yeah, poem, music, and paintings really inspired me. And like I told you, I really love New York because of the museums. I mean, I love to visit museum because you can see so many different art forms, and you can learn about art and history. So yeah, I love to visit museum because I gain so much knowledge from museums.
definitely. Who are some of your favorite artists and musicians? Because, like I said, you talked about how that inspired you, and they can be folks from your own country and everything. I might have to do some research to figure out who you're talking about if they're from your country. But just who are some of the artists and musicians that have inspired you when you look at their work or when you see their work? And actually, this picture, I'm actually showing it on the screen right now that you've got of New York City, just actually captures that wonderful city. And I know that right now those streets are not as noisy as they usually are, and the lights might not be as bright as they usually are because of what we're going on in the world. I know that I was watching, I think it was Shriek yesterday, and he was showing the streets in New York on a Sunday morning, and there was not nearly as many cars as there usually would be, even on a Sunday morning. And of course, Sunday morning would have less cars than a Saturday night or a Friday night, but still, you could tell that there was a lot less traffic than usually would be there because of what we're going on in the world and everything. But I was just curious as to who some of the musicians are that you really admire, or some of the artists, and maybe even some of the museums that you really admire.
I visited MoMA in New York, and I couldn't finish. Actually, it's a really large museum. So, yeah, but I love painting.